Good morning. It's Saturday morning. It's weigh-in day. Yeah, weigh-in day. Man, the back of my head, at this point, it's getting really difficult to ignore kind of a thing. Because, the one thing that the past 6 years has taught me is get as far away from the previous result as quickly as possible, right? So when you weigh in and you step on the scale, get over your celebration, get over your commiseration quickly and get back to work, right? That's one thing that the last 6.5 years has taught me. But being this close to a goal is one thing I have not learned how to ignore the scale result of. And it's happened with every goal along the way, right? Because I told you guys that every goal, all of the little goals in between the big one, were dictated by the charm that, WW gives you, right? So when it was the 5-pound charm, then the 10-pound charm, then the 15-pound charm, then the 20, then the 30, whatever, how it goes, right? I think it's like so small and incremental in the beginning. And then once you hit that 50, then it's 75, and then it's 100, and then 125, 150, 175. They're all like 25 pounds apart at that point. But in the beginning, they're close together. But I am, as of the last result, 6 pounds away from the goal that I started with, right? The 200-pound weight loss goal. Being 6 pounds away from that, it's becoming almost impossible to ignore this, and almost impossible to move on from the result, and almost impossible to have expectations when stepping on the scale. And as many times as I've told you, don't step on the scale with expectations. It is all there and hoping for it, right? And because everything wants to make that number smaller, because literally, on top of that, 6 pounds away from the 200-pound goal is 1.8 pounds away from being the first number in my weight being a 1 for the first time in probably since 3rd or 4th grade, something like that. Probably more like 3rd grade. So the first number being a 1 in my weight is 1.8 pounds away. And I had to stop myself from thinking about it so many times this week. 1.8 pounds would be great. Just this week, just another 1.8. And I have to recognize, good morning. I have to recognize that last week I lost 3+ pounds, right? So there's usually a bounce back. There's got to be something that, when you have a big loss, there's always a bounce back. And plenty of times in my 6.5 year journey here, plenty of times there has been a bounce back after a big loss. So I have to go in there with the mentality that this is a bounce back week, because any other expectation of a 1.8 pound loss is going to be like, if it does anything else, it feels like a disappointment, right? And I have gotten away from the disappointing weigh-ins a long time ago, but they stick around for whenever I'm approaching a milestone goal. And in this case, the big goal, the goal that started the whole journey. The goal that you say you want, but on your first day, when all of the voices of your past are talking to you, you don't believe necessarily that you'll achieve it, but you'll say it's your goal, right? And I could easily say that to you, that on day one, when I'm sitting there with my clipboard, even however many times I said to myself, I want to lose 200 pounds and reevaluate my life. However many times I said that to myself on that day, there were plenty of voices that said, that were almost laughing at the notion, that were essentially pointing all of the failures of the past at the at the goal saying, look, this is what you tried then, look what happened. This is what you tried here, look what happened. All of those voices, right? And in the end, it's very easy just to conform. Like if we look at this entire journey as climbing a mountain, right? You're climbing a mountain, right, of whatever your mountain is, right? So for me, it's 200. Climbing that mountain, it's easier to fall off the mountain from the bottom of it than it is from near the top of it, right? And when you lose, say, 5-10 pounds and you're at the beginning of the journey, it's easier to fall off the wagon then, because it's like, well, you're still basically who you used to be at that point. Being here near the top of the peak, right? So I recognize two things. That I get to the top of this mountain, that all that really means is, yes, it's scary and it's exciting and it's all these things that I'm near the top of this mountain. But I also can see that it's only the bottom of another mountain, right? And there is no world where I just flip the switch and I decide to maintain my weight loss. There's a completely new focus come after the milestone of 200 that I have all of my focus ready to put into. And all of that is body fat composition, concentrating on converting whatever fat remains after hitting my goal into muscle, right? So, and if that even includes gaining weight back, because, gaining muscle means weight scale goes up generally, the entire focus will be on the percentage of the body that is fat, not the weights on the scale. That's the next mountain that I will be paying attention to. I did get a DEXA scan once, and at that time, I was 28% body fat at that time. So whatever it ends up being at the 200 mark will be the baseline for change at that point. And it will go from there. But really, it is all a part. It's all encompassing. All of this is encompassing. And, it's one thing I have to do is to learn how to, and maybe it'll help me when I switch to body fat composition, because there won't be a weekly DEXA scan, that's for sure. Because a DEXA scan costs like $200. So, and there's no world where insurance would cover that, right? They may cover it in a scenario where you are presenting with, certain symptoms, and they may cover that. But really, in those cases, you're going to be looking at bone density. You're not going to be looking at body fat composition. This is more like a voluntary quest. And I recognize that, and it's all part of it, right? So the work won't be so easily rewarded week after week after week anymore, right? It'll be probably a twice a year thing. And even then, that sounds like a lot, $400 a year to get, essentially get this test done to see if I've improved, right? But that will be the entire focus. And somehow I need to get over the fact that when I step on the scale today, it's probably a bounce back week. Not really sure. I would like to believe it's not. But last week was a big loss. And when I'm looking at the history of things, usually after a big loss comes a bounce back. It's all part of the journey. Gains are part of the journey. Gains don't mean failure. They're just gains. They're part of the journey. Look at a couple of stock tickers. Look up the Weight Watchers stock ticker and look at it over the past 5 years. It's not a straight line up. It's not a straight line down. It's up, downs, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But the general trend is up or down. Go ahead and look at that so you can understand, because your weight loss journey is very much the same. Whatever you're doing today, enjoy yourself. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all.